Hey there YouTube, welcome to Big Mike Beard Wisdom. So today, we're going to do my least favorite thing, and that's looking up car parts. Now, I hate looking up car parts because it's one of those things where you're trying to price out something, you're trying to get a good deal, then you're trying to make sure it's the right parts too. Now, it's easier sometimes if you go to a shop, have a shop say, okay, here's what you need, and then everything's all on the shop. If they order the wrong parts, it's all on them that they ordered the wrong parts. So it's easy as far as that goes. But if you're going to do it yourself, that's where you can run into some issues. So what I'm doing today is I'm looking for parts for my 2009 Cadillac Escalade, and the Escalade wound up having a front left ABS sensor code in the front wheel bearings and hubs is a sensor that bolts into it. So more than likely it's going to be in that itself. And then the rear brake pads are making noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order new rotors and pads because in a year or two or something like that, when more funds are available, I'm going to try and upgrade the brakes on it. So real quick, let's take a look at some of the more common sites. So lots of cities have AutoZones in them. Not all of them do. But what's kind of cool is that if you didn't know, a lot of times if you look online, they've got, so much percentage off if you wind up doing something online and then, getting it shipped to your house. So same thing for like NAPA. So they're doing a 10% off and free shipping. And also O'Reilly. So they're doing 20% off. So very similar to the AutoZone. $125 or more, so a little bit more than AutoZone's was. And it's for online, ship to home orders only, with a maximum discount of $50. So each one's a little bit different. But if you go online, sometimes it's a great spot to save a little bit of money. So as opposed to just popping in the store, go online real quick, see if it's something you can order online and just pick it up. Or have it shipped to you, depending on what the rules are. And then for me, I really like RockAuto because a lot of times there's a lot of special deals on RockAuto that you wouldn't see on the other sites. And the big thing with RockAuto, though, is that because it isn't a brick and mortar kind of store that you just walk into, I don't think, unless, maybe someone's close to an actual RockAuto one. That would be kind of cool. But anyways, there's going to be shipping on it. So whenever you look up prices for things, it's not always going to, be 100% what you're going to wind up paying because of shipping. So this is pretty easy. I just clicked on real quick that it was a Cadillac 2009 Escalade with a 6.2. And then go into brakes and wheel hub. And you can see it lists out quite a lot of stuff in here. So if you're familiar with what the parts are, then you should be relatively good in here. If you're not, a lot of times they'll have the common ordered things kind of grouped together. So like this right here where it's like a darker color, same thing with like the master cylinder where that's also kind of a bold. So these are more commonly clicked on. Same thing with the bold ones. Meanwhile, the normal kind of font ones and stuff, those are less clicked on, less used. So rotors, pretty common for brakes. You get the wheel bearings, wheel bearing and hub, rotor and pad kits. That's huge because a lot of times, people replace both the pad and the rotor at the same time. Rotors can be machined, so there's sometimes a means of saving money in that you can just get them machined down. But for a DIY stuff, a lot of times it's easy enough just to swap them out. And calipers are really kind of common as well. So you can see, and then this little star here corresponds to the promotions and rebates. So they must have something in there that has a promotion or rebate. So what we can do here is we can take a quick look at rotors. You can see here's prices for rotors. And again, this isn't including shipping. So a lot of people, when they hear Escalade, they think, ooh, expensive. Well, here's one of the cool things is that you can kind of see these items here. So the actual part numbers are clickable. When you click on it, it shows you everything that shares that same component. So the Cadillac Escalade from 2007 to 2020 uses this same part number as a Chevy Avalanche, a Silverado 1500, a Suburban, a Tahoe, the GMC Sierra and Yukons. So a lot of stuff uses this exact same component. So that makes it a lot cheaper in the long run. And you can kind of see these range, here's standard replacement, about $33 all the way to $111. So big price difference there. And then here's like next step up ones, so fully coated, so maximum protection for rust prone areas. Being in Minnesota, we get a lot of rust. So, but for me, I'm looking for the cheap ones, so I'm not going to look at most of these. And what I'm actually going to wind up doing is clicking on the pad and rotor kits. That way I get maybe the same brand and maybe an extra discount in there, just because now it's coming from the same people. So this Durago one here, I can't say I've ever heard of that particular brand. It doesn't stand out in my mind. But PowerStop, I know I've seen their commercials. I know I've seen their ads. Bendix, yep, that's a common automotive manufacturer. That one I definitely know. Ray Bestos, that's definitely another one. Centric, yep. So a lot of these are name brand kind of stuff that you probably have heard of, and you can kind of see here's another PowerStop, and then this one's a little bit more expensive than the ones before, so you can kind of upgrade what you're looking for. And for me, because right now all I'm doing is looking to replace this as cheap as possible, I'm going to go with this one, this KOE 2083 PowerStop kit for the rear. And then you can kind of click here. It shows you what it is. So it comes with 2 rotors, the pads, and it looks like some sort of brake lubricant. And then a lot of these have information too that kind of like tell you where you're at. So you're buying stock replacement, so baseline kind of stuff. Otherwise, they offer like Evolution coated, so another step up. Z23 Evolution Sport, another step up. Z26 Street Warrior, or Z36 Truck and Tow, so more steps up. And then they can have videos in here. Some of them do, some of them don't. But again, this shows you here. So you get 2 rotors, 1 set of brake pads, which is both pads for both the left and the right side, and then some brake lubricant. So this should be everything you need to do the rear axle brakes and replace the wearable parts. Now, granted, what I'm looking to do in a year or two is actually replace the calipers as well and the brake lines, but that's going to be one big project I'm going to do all at the same time because the truck's fairly rusty, and I'd rather it go down for just maybe a week or so if in case I break anything, as opposed to doing the job on the rears now, having something break, it going down for a week, and then try messing with the fronts, have some more stuff break, and then there'd be like a snowball effect of how much money and parts I'm spending and putting into the vehicle. So, but you can kind of see this one's just $98.78, so pretty cheap. And then we'll check out the wheel bearing and hub assembly. And then the Escalade's an all-wheel drive. So on here, I'll be looking for front all-wheel drive ones. And you can see some of them are described a little bit differently. Down here, you can see front all-wheel drive without hardware. Escalade base model. Front all-wheel drive active sensor with black connector end. Woo! Looks like fun ones here. Brake lines modification for Mexico. So you want to try and pick one that you want to go with. So for me, I went with this FVP one here for $96.89. It was kind of one of those things where I was wanting to pay maybe about $100 or so, but I didn't want the baseline super cheap ones just because I don't know how good they are. They might be perfectly fine. And I wasn't really looking for any of these, really hopped up ones. So even though these SKF X-Tracker hybrids, they sound pretty cool. But again, I did want it a little bit cheaper. And this is actually what I used to purchase it. So there's the FVP wheel bearing and hub for $96.89. There's the PowerStop, the KOE 2083 rotor and pad for $98.79. Just like how all the other sites had a discount, RockAuto normally gives about a 5% discount. Once you make an order, probably a few days after that, they'll say, hey, here's a discount code for you, and it'll be good for 2-3 months or so. Now mine ran out the beginning of September, so I Googled it real quick. Got this code off of RetailMeNot, and that code wound up working, which is always nice because I hate it when it doesn't work. So we saved $9.78. Shipping is $30. So even though this seemed like a really super great deal, you're still paying a fair amount for shipping, but this still beats the other options for the other stores, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. And then, so order total, $232.87. So not bad, and I'll show you why. So with O'Reilly's, you have that 20% off. You go $125 or more with this promo code. And again, this is September of 2022, so if you're watching this later, it might not still work. So here's their front wheel bearings and stuff, and you can kind of see. Here's what they offer. They have one for $200, so double what I paid. These are $209, $230, $211. So again, pretty steep. These would be front wheel drive ones because that end's capped off. That's all wheel drive because it allows the axle shaft to go through it. So, a fair amount of savings in what I got there. Then here's O'Reilly's. I've got this filtered down for just the rear rotors, and you've got quite a big range in here. So you've got their rotors first, and then it starts listing off other ones. So essentially, you've got a high of about 170 and a low of about 63. So you're still looking at over $100 just in the rotors with that discount. And then we haven't even gotten to the pads yet. And with the pads, you've got quite a different range. So brake pads can vary whether or not you're getting ceramic ones, whether you're getting semi-metallic, whether you're looking for ones that make less dust or are quieter. If you're looking for ones that have better bite, that way, if you've got an SUV and you want more initial bite on the brakes, more like to make it kind of feel more like a car's braking ability, as opposed to like an SUV's, like, are we going to stop sometime today braking ability? So depending on what you want to go with, they range pretty good. So looks like I would say 117 is about the highest, and the lowest is probably about $43. So the nice thing about this is that could be available at your local store, and then if you have any returns, you just go to your local store and go, here, I ordered these are wrong, I need to return them. So pretty simple as far as that goes. So obviously O'Reilly doesn't touch RockAuto as far as savings, but for ease of, hey, I need to just walk in the store and get something, it could. And the big thing with this is that you always want to see, it doesn't have like free pickup in the store. So is it in stock? So this stuff here, all these are in stock. This one isn't. So the really cheap one's not. So you're not looking at really getting the really cheap one, but this one here is. So for $6 more, you can get this one. And then let's look at NAPA. So NAPA's got the 10% off and free shipping. Their wheel bearings are, again, pretty up there, pretty good. So, and then whether or not they're going to be in stock is another story. But you've got 10% off that you can get. So, again, way more than RockAuto had. But, maybe if you've got a discount through your work at a place like that. So, like, I've had NAPA discounts through different places that I've worked, even in places that didn't even deal with, like, automotive parts. So it's really kind of funny sometimes. And then here's rotors. So rotors, you can see rotors are cheaper-ish. And they've got some nice ones, too. So the one weird thing with the rotors on the NAPA site was that I wasn't able to filter this down just for, like, rears. So you can see here's the front rotors. And then same style rear rotors. Same price. even though the rear rotors are shaped much differently. And again, these are more expensive than RockAuto was, but if you've got a problem with them, or you need these like right now, you don't have any time to wait, at least you can pop into the store and get them right away. Otherwise, if you were to pay for like the overnight shipping from RockAuto, I think for me it was going to be like $500. So there's no way I'm paying that. And then pads. So you can see pads, again, various options, ceramic pads and stuff like that, quiet pads. They're, step up line, whatever these adaptive ones are, so maybe they're, higher quality, or maybe they do something special. This is kind of cool because it's both a rotor and pad kit. So for $214.99. So this definitely would have been an option that I probably could have gone with. But obviously RockAuto's was a little bit cheaper, so I went with that route. And then now let's check out AutoZone. And AutoZone has 20% off, $100, eligible to ship to home orders only, and free ground shipping on eligible orders over $35. So there's funny rules with it. So wheel bearing wise, same boat. This one's kind of cool because it's black, and it's kind of cool because it's black. So the part of me is like, that would be kind of neat, but I don't need black. Then rotor wise, you've got some interesting stuff depending on like what store you go to as far as warranties. So, but this has their rotors, and pretty much only their rotors. Price wise, so for one rotor, I'm getting 2 rotors and pads. And then let's look at pads real quick. So here's their pads, I believe. So now if it was me, I'd probably go with like their severe duty ones, just because it's an SUV, and I'd rather overbuild something. But right now, again, I'm just looking for cheap, what moves me forward. So right now, if I was going the AutoZone route, I would go with this cheap set here. The really interesting part is that they have a brakes traction control section, and the performance brake pads and rotors kit. They have the exact kit that I bought for $221.99, as opposed to the $98.79. So that's pretty crazy, in that it's the exact same kit and part number for drastically different price. So if you're kind of shopping for brake parts, I would definitely recommend going online, bouncing between the big 3 kind of like auto parts stores, seeing what kind of deals they have. Because if they've got like a 20% off, that could make a big difference between each one. Their offerings are a little bit different. So between the wheel bearings, the rotors, the brake pads themselves, and then even kits, it's amazing the difference you can kind of find. RockAuto is a pretty good option. I like RockAuto. So with RockAuto, you've got to pay shipping. So the initial price that you see might seem like a great deal, but you really should research it just to make sure it is a good deal, because it might wind up being cheaper with some type of discount at like local stores. Plus, let's say the part's wrong from RockAuto, they have a way that you can ship it back, but is it worth your time in shipping it, or is it just one of those things where you're like, well, whatever. So like with the Gambler, the rear sway bar bushing wound up being the wrong size. I think I bought that thing for like $2. So, my time to, ship it back is going to be a waste of money. But in something like a brake rotor, if all of a sudden that rotor's got a different shape, it's got a different fit, something's not quite right with it, you're not going to be able to use that. And now you got this big old chunk of steel hanging out with you. And then same thing with the pads. If you've got pads and they don't fit because there's something wrong with it, they're the wrong shape, that's going to put you in a world of hurt, because you really don't want to go modifying the pad in order to make it work. But I do really like RockAuto. They do have great prices, and I've had really, really good luck with them. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll check you next time.